In the autumn of what is believed to be around 3000 BCE, there was a farmer named Jubal working tirelessly in the fields along the low rolling hills near what is now modern-day Hebron. His days were ordinary, filled with the simple routines of planting, harvesting, and tending to his small herd. Jubal followed a cyclical rhythm that had been established by his forefathers, tying him to a peace born from familiarity with the land he tilled. This particular season, however, brought an unusual complication. A particularly harsh drought had seized the land for weeks, causing the thin topsoil to dry and crack. The clouds seemed to retreat towards the horizon, bathing the land in an unrelenting sun, parching fields into desperate stretches of dusty terrain. To make matters worse, his store of grain was nearly depleted, and he hadn't expected the rain to arrive anytime soon. His isolation felt heavier each day, the weight of survival driving every decision he made. Jubal wasn't searching for anything historic on that crisp, quiet morning. He was merely a man doing what he could to survive another difficult season. His hope, though fragile like the last green shoots clinging to life, kept him sowing under a sky that betrayed him. But as we delve into the past, we find that Jubal may have been living through one of the most pivotal moments in the ancient world, entirely unaware of the significance. Agriculture had become the backbone of early civilization, turning nomadic societies into settled communities, and setting the stage for remarkable cultural evolution. As historians concur, this transition period marked the Neolithic Revolution, which began around 10,000 BCE. The invention of the plough, by around 3500 BCE, near Jubal's timeframe, exemplified technological leaps that spread like ripples across the ancient world. You and I, today, will trace the fascinating journey of Jacob's family through time, nomads, dreamers, rulers, and rebels, who were said to have given rise to the 12 tribes of Israel. The impact of the agricultural advancements, occurring just around Jubal's time, parallels the journey of Jacob's family. As you might expect, their stories are filled with intrigue and wonder, each branch of this family tree reaching in unpredictable directions, yet deeply rooted in the soil. Our journey begins with Jacob, a central patriarchal figure whose tales rival any epic. Known as Yisrael, after wrestling with an angel, his persona became emblematic of struggle and transformation, resonating deeply with the human experience. According to tradition, Jacob was born to Isaac and Rebekah, himself emerging into a story laden with divine promise and earthly struggle. If you've ever heard the story of the ladder reaching heavenward, you'll know there's already an aura of mystery about him. This ladder, seen in a dream during his flight to Laban's country, was more than a mere vision. It was a heavy foreshadowing of his pivotal role in a grander tale, symbolizing a connection between the terrestrial and the divine, an enduring motif across multiple faiths. The first written records of Jacob's journey, captured between the 8th and 7th centuries BCE, are primarily found in Genesis chapters 25 to 49, where his dreams, trials, and transformations illustrate an epic perspective on spiritual growth and destiny. But let's not skip too far ahead. Jacob's life was as tumultuous as the land he wandered. From his birth, his narrative was intertwined with his twin brother Esau, representing two nations clashing within the womb, as foretold to their mother Rebekah. What sets Jacob apart wasn't just his divine dreams, but how his lineage, the 12 tribes, would come to shape the cultural and religious landscapes we still navigate today. In Genesis 28:14, the promise made to Jacob was clear: "Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth," a testament to their future vastness and influence. His journey was marked by a complexity of emotions, deception, and reconciliation, each step setting the stage for his descendants. The fraternal rivalry transformed into a pivotal event when Jacob deceitfully obtained Esau's birthright and blessing, an act that incited his necessary flight to Laban, further enriching his saga of adversity and reconciliation. Now, Here's a twist you might not have seen coming. What if those tribes scattered and lost forever, their trails as cold and untraceable as a wind-swept desert path? Stick around, because this mystery is just heating up, and you'll soon discover why the 12 tribes are anything but a forgotten footnote in history. Within this tapestry of stories, we can explore how these tribes influenced ancient geopolitical dynamics. Excavations at sites like Tel Dan and evidence from texts such as the Mesha Stele, which boasts of victories over Israel, offer glimpses into the political and military stature of these tribes, unraveling the extent of their influence and the mysteries of their eventual dispersal. The first of Jacob's children was Reuben, the eldest, who bore the weight of expectation and the brunt of controversy. His story is particularly poignant as it blends loyalty with rebellion, encapsulated in the events of Genesis 35:22, when Reuben lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine, a scandal that cost him his birthright. The Israelite settlement in Gilead, where Reuben's tribe once thrived before its disappearance post-Assyrian invasion around 722 BCE, marks a lost chapter of an otherwise turbulent lineage. Reuben, some say, was always caught between duty and desire, a delicate balance of human flaws and noble intentions. Yet his tribe, once a robust force noted in historical texts, like those chronicling Canaanite battles, eventually vanished from the historical record. What happened to them? Are they the tribe that found its way underground in fleeting records, only to resurface centuries later? Let me also introduce you to Judah, from whom came a lineage of kings. If you ever considered royalty to be a straightforward lineage, the tale of Judah dismantles that notion one prophecy at a time. Judah's line eventually gave us the House of David, a name synonymous with historic power and divine favor. King David's reign during the 10th century BCE marked a golden era for the United Kingdom of Israel, with Jerusalem as its capital. Archaeological findings like the Tel Dan Stele and references in the Mesopotamian records underscore a once robust Davidic dynasty grappling with regional dynamics. And yet, let us not forget the infamy, for it was also through Judah that treachery seeped into royal halls, where whispers turned into the downfall of dynasties. This duality reflects the perpetual tension between human frailty and divine mission seen through the monarchic lineage in the biblical narrative. Next, we have the tribe of Levi, set apart for religious duties, who served as priests for Israel. The Levites implemented complex rituals described in detail within Levitical law that became instrumental to Jewish religious practice. The Levites' role, substantiated by papyri like the Dead Sea Scrolls, reveals traditions implemented in sacred spaces such as the tabernacle and later the first and second temples in Jerusalem. The Levites are a reminder that the 12 tribes were not merely political entities. They were deeply enmeshed in spiritual responsibilities. Their legacy is seen in the temple rituals and traditions that thousands still practice today, carried through centuries in the evolving Hebrew Bible, shaping paths for priestly functions worldwide. But what was it like to carry such a burden on behalf of a people, and how did it weave into the larger fabric of Israelite society? Their unique status exempted them from war and land ownership, but required them to be the stewards of Israel's soul. And let's not overlook the tribe of Joseph, divided between his sons Ephraim and Manasseh. Joseph's story is arguably one of the most dramatic, a life marked by sibling rivalries, immersion into Egyptian politics, and eventual redemption. Depicted primarily from Genesis 37 to 50, Joseph's ascension from servitude to Pharaoh's vizier encapsulates a journey from suffering to salvation. Egyptian artifacts and annals, including the famous Amarna letters, hold keys to Joseph's political integration in ancient Egypt's stately corridors. It's fascinating how, despite these divisions, those tribes emerged as influential players in the unfolding drama across the ancient world, acting as integral custodians of the nation's fortunes. Ephraim, in particular, became noted as a central tribe, sometimes representing the kingdom of Israel after its division. Consider, too, the tribes that often drift beneath the radar: Zebulun, Issachar, and Asher. While not always at the fore of political maneuvers or epic tales, these tribes each held territories that became pivotal trade routes or strategic locations, influencing economics and power struggles more subtly. Zebulun is often linked with maritime trade, as evidenced by ports in areas like Acre during their settlements, while Issachar was renowned for their scholarship and wisdom, earning them unique roles in regional council, suggested by the presence of school remnants in their regions. Asher, positioned in fertile northern lands, became synonymous with prosperity. Each had niche expertise that fed into the greater purpose of forging a balanced society that was interconnected with broader Semitic and Mediterranean contexts. As commercial lifelines spanned the Levant, their territories became bustling crossroads between East and West. Often lost in the grandeur of history are the smaller tribes, like Naphtali and Gad. They settled in rugged, sometimes inhospitable regions, where survival often depended on sheer grit. Naphtali's territory included the Sea of Galilee, which would gain prominence in later religious traditions. Historical surveys and biblical accounts describe Naphtali's reputation for military resilience during skirmishes chronicled in the Book of Judges. Their tales may not sparkle with the glitz of divinely mandated kingship, but their stories are rich with the struggle of spirit, the kind that echoes through corridors of resilience. We haven't forgotten about Dan and Benjamin. Did you know the tribe of Dan is wrapped in layers of mysticism, often symbolizing judgment? Located in a peripheral region, Dan's role was crucial, often acting as a frontier or buffer against outside influences. Archaeological findings in places like Tel Dan, with inscriptions hinting at their mercantile and military endeavors, shed light on their strategic bearings. Historically, they contributed to trade and, from some perspectives, provided mercenary strength. Meanwhile, Benjamin's tribe, small but fiercely competitive, left a lasting imprint despite their size. King Saul, Israel's first monarch, emerged from Benjamin, highlighting this tribe's significant legacy despite its modest beginnings. In modern times, the tale of these tribes fascinates historians and archaeologists, each artifact and each clue potentially redefining their boundaries, their contributions, and their ultimate fates. Discoveries in places like Khirbet Qeiyafa and discussions around ancient texts enhance our understanding of these enigmatic groups. Could their traces linger, hidden beneath our very feet, whispering of a time when their stories were still being told? We are constantly uncovering new evidence in ancient artifacts, texts, and, occasionally, in genetic studies tracing lineage back to these tribes. Let's pause for a moment, and if you've been enjoying our journey, consider subscribing. Join our community, where curiosity about the ancient world thrives. Now, back to the enigma of Jacob's tribes. As we continue, it's crucial we touch on the dispersion of these tribes after the biblical Exodus. Following their establishment in the Promised Land, tensions and alliances shifted, a familiar dance in the ancient political theatre. The division of Israel into northern and southern kingdoms, post-Solomon's rule, around 931 BCE, added complexity to their history, impacting regional stability. Some tribes were absorbed by conquerors or intermarried with neighboring peoples, muddying the proverbial waters of their ancestry. Documents from the Babylonian conquest under Nebuchadnezzar II also recount exiles and shifts, testifying to their profound influence on regional geopolitics and the diaspora's religious adaptations. Echoes of the tribe's wisdom persist in Judaism, Christianity, and even Islam, each interpreting the 12 tribes differently, yet all acknowledging their importance. These stories form the foundation of religious identity, providing a lens through which to view ancient prophecies and spiritual teachings. Rabbinic literature, Christian theological discussions, and Islamic interpretations often draw contrasting, yet harmonizing narratives about the tribes. It's intriguing to realize how these ancient stories traverse time, morphing into pillars for different faiths, each whispering to us from the shadows of history. Rabbinic writings, New Testament references, and interpretations in the Quran shape varied dimensions of the tribe's legacies, influencing theological discourse. Now, let's focus on a community that often generates discussion among historians, the Samaritans. Traditionally believed to be descendants from the northern kingdom, possibly linked to Ephraim and Manasseh, they offer living proof of tribes' legacies. Despite their small number, around 800 as of the latest estimates, they maintain ancient religious practices and a unique form of Hebrew Pentateuch. As one of the world's oldest continuous minorities, the Samaritans preserve traditions detailed in their own chronicles, like the Samaritan Chronicle of Abu al-Fat. Their continued existence is a testament to the endurance of these ancient lines, despite facing multifaceted challenges over millennia, from cultural absorption attempts to geopolitical upheavals. The enigmatic lost tribes of Israel have captured the imagination of many, from explorers to genealogists. Various theories link them to different parts of the world, but none uniformly accepted. Theories range from Japanese to American indigenous people, potentially bearing tribal links, indicating a remarkable breadth of interest and speculation, driven by historical curiosity and identity searches. Travels by Marco Polo and records from explorers like Eldad Hardani have perpetuated tales that feed into global curiosities and questing identities. Could these tribes have established distant colonies, transforming into different nationalities and cultures as they migrated farther afield? Some traditions even suggest they intermingled with other ancient civilizations, resulting in lineages that spread across continents. As our adventure concludes, reflect on how these stories teach us that history and myth intertwine in ways both coherent and wildly unpredictable. Even as we consider the lineage of Jacob and the dispersion of his descendants, we continue to wrestle with mysteries unresolved for millennia. The narratives of Jacob's family and their descendants are proof that the past is not merely a collection of dates and events, but a vibrant tapestry, each thread woven intricately in ways we are still discovering. The dialogues they inspire in modernity are continuous threads running through scientific study, religious contemplation, and cultural exploration. Parting on this note, allow the mystery of Jacob's lineage to provoke your own curiosity and imagination. And if you're intrigued, we have more stories like this coming up, delving even deeper into the hidden chapters of our shared past. Until then, stay curious, and thanks for joining this exploration with me.